Crane and the Cowboy, 1st of February. It's been a little bit more than 10 days since Donald Trump was inaugurated as the 45th President of the United States, and he has been moving and grooving.
He's moving fast. And today's Groundhog Day, right?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's Groundhog Day. So what are we going to have? Well, if it's Groundhog Day, we're going to have the Democrats complaining. And they're going to keep complaining, but I think...
see a nominee they don't like to throw
Yeah,
the race.
Exactly. We're against that nominee. Well, who is the nominee? We don't know, but we're against him.
Right.
Well, look, the president's moving fast, and Washington's not used to it. Washington is used to the slow process, and he's saying, no, we're done with the slow process. And quite frankly, the American people are saying the same thing. So while the Democrats are running around like, with chickens with their head cut off, he's moving forward. I think it's great.
So what a week as we come to you on this 1st of February. We had last Friday, I believe, he issued this temporary ban on immigration from 7 nations in the Middle East. It's being called a Muslim ban because the nations are predominantly Muslim, but countries like Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, where there are many, many more Muslims, are not affected.
Yeah, I mean, look, and these are the same countries that the President Obama listed as ones we got to look at. And it's funny, I mean, it seems to me like the Democrats, especially the older ones like Chucky Schumer and stuff, do they understand there's this little invention called the internet? And we can look up what you said. In fact, YouTube, Chucky, can actually show you what you said in video. I mean, they said when Obama did it, oh, this is a great idea. The president's right. We got to be careful because they wanted to look tough on terrorism. As soon as Trump does it, oh, my gosh, this is this. And they all go to the airports and all this other stuff. Look, where are the protests today? It's Wednesday. They went away.
I saw a great line on Facebook. Somebody said yesterday, if Trump announced a cure for cancer, they would protest against so many doctors and nurses being put out of business.
Exactly. I mean, he could probably never do any right with these guys, but their club's getting smaller, and the American people are liking what they see. Last night, he makes the announcement on a Supreme Court justice. Now, remember Clarence Thomas? George Bush was on vacation. So he comes out of the place in Kennebunkport, with his blue blazer and his preppy slacks. Gonna go out boating soon. Thought you'd like to meet this nice black guy. He's gonna be on the court, right? Yeah. Well, what does Trump do? Prime time. And he has the guy sitting in the crowd with the other guy who might have been nominated. So it's like, who's it going to be? It's American.
There's a lot of intrigue because he brought him in on a special plane, and they went in back roads in Colorado, so nobody knew. Right. Stayed at a friend's house in Washington rather than a hotel, so nobody knew about it.
It's classic Trump. Why? Because all of a sudden, he made it an entertaining event, not some yawner from Washington. Right. You want to know, don't you? You guys want to know who my pick is? Right. Well, both of them are sitting here. It's either this, it's the finalists in Miss America.
And the Hobby Lobby, this is one of the cases that Judge Gorsuch was involved in, and they take it to the nth degree. This was a case in which company ownership did not believe in contraception, didn't want to be told it had to do it.
Right.
The people who worked there could have gone somewhere else for their health care. They could have gone somewhere else to get a prescription for birth control pills. And now all of a sudden it's about infringing on a woman's right.
Oh, gosh. Well, and that's the only issue they got left is stir up women. Because all of a sudden, Trump this morning met with black leaders. All of a sudden, there's a split in that community. And even quietly, maybe Latinos are splitting a little. People who have been here for 5 generations feel a lot differently than somebody came over a couple of years ago. So he's splitting apart, and the labor guys he met with, he's splitting apart the old Democratic coalition, so they're going to their safe space, which they like, and they're going to women. Oh, it's about women, and women are 52% of the electorate, so that's how we're going to win our elections again. They always discount the fact there's women out there who don't agree with them. And I think, quite frankly, this country's moving ever so slowly in a more pro-life position.
Well, it is, and ever so slowly to the right, I believe, too, in a lot of ways. Also, something you have to consider when this vote comes up, there are, I believe, 10 red state senators coming up for election in a couple of years?
Yep, the terrible 10. Mm-hmm. And they, look what they've already started saying. Interesting to notice, not just them. Dick Durbin last night, Mr. Burned down the Republican Party.
And a blue state.
Oh, he should have a hearing. We should have a vote. Now, why is Dick Durbin saying that? Dick Durbin's saying that because he's up for re-election in 2018. And yeah, he's from Illinois, but Illinois put in a Republican governor because they're in such a financial mess. You think their financial mess is going to get any better? So he's one of those guys, he's starting to read the tea leaves. Chris Coons from Delaware, a total blue state, he says he needs a hearing and he should get a vote. Joe Manchin, who's worried about his seat, says, hey, you know, just because they did it, we shouldn't do it. Two wrongs don't make a right. There's a movement in the Democratic Party that says, why are we following Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer?
Well, first of all, Nancy Pelosi doesn't get a vote because it's a Senate vote.
Yeah.
Secondly, what about this so-called nuclear option that now suddenly Donald Trump is in favor of?
Well, I think this is part of, again, he's a negotiator. So he doesn't sit around and wait. He says, well, if they're not going to do it, go nuclear on them, which means, you know, no filibuster.
Right.
And the leader of the Senate can do it. Harry Reid did it for, you know, lower court judges.
When you know you have the votes,
when you know you have the votes, why not? So, you know, they started this process. I think that on this one particularly, I don't know if they're going to have to go nuclear because this guy is replacing Scalia. It will be, the fight's going to come whether it's when Ginsburg or Breyer,
because you know, not just a simple majority, but
because
a bigger majority.
Because the Saab sisters, Kagan and Sotomayor, they're there for a while.
Right.
But Breyer and Ginsburg are getting old. So that's where the battle's really going to come. And if the Democrats were smart, you put up a little bit of a fight over this one, but let it go through because, you know, save your powder. Right. If you go this way...
You're like the boy who cried wolf.
Sure, and they're going to nuke you. And once they nuke you, the next one's coming up.
Well, the other thing, too, is if Donald Trump makes good on a lot of his promises, it's, you know, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that the Republicans will pick up a couple of states in 2018, and then it makes it even harder to get your nominee confirmed.
If they get tax reform and some regulatory reform this year, and that means it'll bubble through during the election, all of a sudden you'll see stories, hiring, jobs, growth. The American people tend to look at some of this other sideshow stuff and say, I don't care. My neighbor just went to work and I just got 3 calls for jobs. I don't care about what Chuck Schumer thinks. They misread the American people. Any party that has to go to a retreat to learn how to speak to regular people doesn't know how to speak to regular people.
Let's go back to the immigration decision. Again, it's 120 days, I believe, right? So it's really basically the Trump administration is looking at ways to properly vet refugees before they come in. That's really what it's about. They saw what happened in Germany. Mm-hmm. They saw what happened in Sweden.
Sure.
They saw what happened in France. They saw what happened in Belgium. And they don't want it here.
Right.
But of course, the left is saying, oh, the humanity. These people are being inconvenienced. It's unconstitutional. Well, Jimmy Carter did it against Iran in 1980. They forget that.
Exactly. I mean, presidents should have that prerogative because what happens if all of a sudden we got 15 terrorists from some part of the world and they committed a horrible act in this country? We do the same thing right away, and Chuck Schumer will be right behind the president. So this is all politics. Everything they do now is politics. They've got Hollywood so apoplectic, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to fight this battle because they don't understand the American people, and they're not going to understand the American people, particularly on immigration. The American people have had enough.
Now, you and I follow this stuff because it's sort of our job. Do you think this is all a lot of white noise to the rest of the country?
Absolutely. I don't think they're paying attention. I think, well, I shouldn't say that. They're paying attention, but they're looking at, wait a second, you guys, you lost. You guys keep saying elections have consequences. Well, then start learning, and remembering your own words. I think the American people want to see action, and that's what they're seeing. You know what this would be as a typical Republican? This would be a snoozer. We'd be going, oh my gosh, this is going on.
Trump makes it a little interesting.
He makes it interesting, and he's giving some spine to the Republicans in the House and the Senate. I heard rumors, we might have to push off tax reform till next year. Why? Because it's hard. You've been there how long? You tell me that you don't have a tax plan ready to go, then you're dereliction of duty. It's the same with Obamacare. Well, it's difficult. Of course it is. Right. But that you've got the votes. They rammed down Obamacare in less than a year. And you can't get a tax reform that a lot of them want.
Exactly.
So, this is ridiculous.
Tax reform would lift all boats.
Exactly.
One final thought, and that is a funny thing happened at the way of the Treasury Secretary's confirmation hearings.
Yeah. Orrin Hatch said, by God, that's enough. The Democrats, once again, decided to boycott. And for 2 days in a row, they're not going to go to the hearing. And the rules of that particular committee, because committee makes their own rules, is that there has to be 2 Democrats present to have a confirmation vote go forward, or in a committee
So they're staying home to avoid this getting out of committee?
They were outside the door. They were standing outside the door and wouldn't come in. Well, we have more questions, right? Sorry, you don't get to ask more questions. So finally this morning, Orrin Hatch gave a wonderful speech. It sounds like he had a booster shot of B12 for a guy in his 80s. And he got up there and he says, you know something? We confirmed your guys. We didn't like it, but we were here, we went to the meetings, and we voted against, but you guys had the majority, and you put your guy in. That's the way it should be. He said, so guess what? I'm the chairman. Suspend the rules. We don't need any Democrats. Everybody who wants to vote for him, 14-0. We're done.
There you go.
They did the same thing for Tom Price and Mnuchin, so they're out of committee, which means Obamacare and tax reform can now move forward because they'll get finished in the Senate here. Tillerson's going to move forward. The guy at the EPA, they're going to do the same thing. You don't want to vote? Fine.
And they're all slam dunks because the numbers in the Senate.
That's right. Sessions
vote.
just got out of committee. We're done. Betsy DeVos is out. Now we're going to see something happen. The next 2 weeks, 3 weeks are going to be very important because all of a sudden these people get in office and it takes a little of the pressure off the president because now Tillerson answers a question on foreign policy. Now Mnuchin answers a question on tax reform. He needs those people around. I mean, he's a great guy and I love to see him answering questions, but he needs his team out there. America has to get familiar with the people that are going to execute. You know, it's like you hire a great coach. The fans want to know who's the quarterback, who's the running back, and who's the linebacker.
And who's the quarterback coach.
And who's the quarterback coach, exactly.
Right. All right. Crane and the Cowboy joining you on thelibertyplaybook.com. Thanks.
Huddle up!